As the early morning sunrise acts as a friendly beacon off the Florida coast, it gives way to the hot summer sizzle of Daytona Beach, where people of all ages find their own way to express themselves in celebration of the great summer chill out. And the question that's keeping the heat on is, who's NASCAR's right one, baby?
NASCAR's the right one, baby.
Bill Waltrip's the right one, baby.
Buddy Wallace is the right one, baby.
Ernie Irvin is the right one, baby.
Davey Allison is the right one, baby.
Well, Allison had to wonder if that was true, finishing 40th at Atlanta after this incident and not recording a top 10 finish in the first 4 events. But things really started to turn around when 32-year-old Larry McReynolds joined the team as crew chief. 2 victories in total domination at Charlotte. A controversial upset at Sonoma. His 4th at Michigan left no question.
Davey Allison's the right one, baby. Hey, you got the right one, baby. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, live from the world center of racing, Daytona International Speedway, it's the Pepsi 400 Winston Cup race. As is the custom in Florida during July, it is hot and humid, 92 degrees. Light wind, partly cloudy skies right now, and as the case during most of July, there is a chance of showers, but later this afternoon. Right now, we have sunshine.
For the 33rd annual running of the Pepsi 400.
41 race car engines interrupt the serenity of Daytona Beach, Florida, as they get set for 160 laps of wheel-to-wheel competition in the Pepsi 400. And good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Daytona. What began here in February reaches its halfway point today. This is event number 15 out of 29 in the 1991 Winston Cup season. Let's take a look at the point standings. The quest for the Cup. Dale Earnhardt has a rather commanding lead on second place Ricky Rudd. The advantage is 138 points. Darrell Waltrip with 2 wins is in third. Ernie Irvin, who won the Daytona 500 here in February, is fourth in the standings. And Ken Schrader, who has recorded 2 victories, is fifth. Taking a look at the second 5, the hottest driver on the Winston Cup circuit right now is in 6th position. That's Davey Allison. He has 3 wins. Harry Gant has had a great season, recording 1 victory. Mark Martin, who almost won the Winston Cup last year, continues to move up to 8th. Morgan Shepherd has been very consistent, and Michael Waltrip has no victories but has won 2 pole positions so far this year. Now, the 7/8" restrictor plate is on these cars today, but there's a new element that the drivers will have to contend with. And with more on that, let's go to pit road and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, a couple of weeks ago, NASCAR invited 5 teams to Talladega for a private closed test. Those 5 teams representing the 5 different makes of cars that compete here in this series. At that test, they had them try different kinds of spoilers to see what effect they would have on the stability and speed of the cars. That test cut short. They ran it here earlier in the week, and thus they have made 4 rule changes in effect for today's race. And they are, starting from the top of the car, the roof rails, the half-inch rails have been extended down the back glass here all the way to the beginning of the trunk. Now, on the outside of the trunk, they have these 1-inch rails helping to channel air back toward the spoiler. Now, the spoiler is the same, except that minimum prior to this was 30 degrees, and now the minimum is 35 degrees. Now, they've always had on the right side of the car a 2-inch panel to help keep air from going beneath the car. Well, now they've added that same 2-inch panel here to the left side of the car. Now, what NASCAR hopes to be able to do is allow these cars to be so stable on the racetrack they can open up the holes in the restrictor plate to give the drivers more throttle response and let them have better control of the race car on the super speedways. But, Benny Parsons, the jury is still out as to how these changes will have an effect during heavy race traffic today.
You wonder why NASCAR would make a rule change in the middle of the season, and particularly 4 or 5 days before an event? Remember the Pepsi 400 last year? The second lap, huge crash involving about 20 cars. The Winston 500 in May, another huge crash on the back straightaway, another 20 cars involved. We somehow got to get these cars separated. The second thing, we're hurting drivers. Kyle Petty is home today watching this event with a broken leg, going through therapy 5 days a week, trying to come back but it still may be a couple of months before he does. The third thing, the drivers just cannot pass with ease. They get alongside another car, they can't go by. We've got to get the cars to where the drivers, when they get a car set up to pass, they can go by and get on by that car. Ned, all the rule changes, does this favor one car or the other?
I think it's hard to tell, Benny. When you look at the cars on the track, there's a variety of where they position those rails down on the deck lids of the car. The Buicks have them real close together. The Chevrolets have them as far out as they can possibly get them, so it'll be interesting to see in the race. Now, talk about different brands of cars. We've had a real rivalry this year between Ford and Chevrolet. Now, Ford has won the speed battle most of the time. They have 8 poles to 2 for Chevrolet, but Chevrolet has come forth on race day. They have 8 wins to 3 for Ford. Well, Ford's up front again here, 5 in the top 10. For more on that, let's go to pit road and John Kernan.
Well, Ned, this is the 400th Busch Pole Trophy, and it belongs to Sterling Marlin. And let me tell you, it has been a long time coming for Sterling. 16 years, 204 races. This marks his first pole. And surprisingly, Sterling says he had very little to do with it. In fact, he credits the crew, led by crew chief Mike Beam, for finding that little extra burst of speed in qualifying that pushed him over the 190-mile-an-hour mark. Now, the ironic thing about this pole for Sterling, he holds the event qualifying record over 204 miles an hour set back in 1986. But that hot lap came in second day qualifying. So, Bob, as you can imagine, Sterling can't wait to get this race underway.